thought it was the most crime-ass beat and the most badass set of verses I've ever heard. Like, it got inside so fast, right? And I really felt I felt like I was very much in the Redman cartoon world of this adventure.
Welcome back to the theraplizards podcast, everybody. Before we get into the show, we have a word from our new sponsor. Just a brief message. This week's episode is brought to you by the Bootleg Sneaker Emporium. You want Nikes? We got Sykes. Don't want to shell out big bucks on Yeezys? Buy some Steezies. They won't know the difference. Actually, probably will. But fuck it, man. Both pairs of sneakers were made in a sweatshop anyway. Pick up a fresh pair of new kicks today that kind of look like the shoes you really want. I personally buy all my shoes at the BSE because close enough is good enough for me. Welcome back, guys. The only show where two Jews and a Guyanese dude talk about hip-hop. And today we're joined by our producer, Nate, too. What's up, Nate?
Oh, hey.
How's it going? Glad you're here. I'm Benny. That's Dion.
Yeah.
That Sharky McShark sitting over there is Gary. How we doing, guys?
Chilling. Man, you really need to write some copy. That's some.
What?
You really need to write some copy for, especially for our sponsors, man. They don't know what they're not getting their, you're not getting paid what you need to for the brilliant, just writing you got.
Oh no, I just read what they told me to read.
So you're not in cahoots. All right.
No.
It worked on me though. I would go for BSC every time.
It is a
Why
real...
overpay? Why overpay?
Guys, I am dead. Just as real as the story of the producer who tried to run us out of this industry, that is a real commercial for a real emporium. Welcome back, guys. We are the best damn hip-hop podcast that you have ever found. I guarantee it. You could just compare us to any other podcast talking about Redman's Muddy Waters, which is this week's pick. Gary picked it. Each episode, one of us picks an album that we love. We all listen to it and reconvene. We had probably the longest break ever between shows. I mean, you guys don't know when we record these shows because they come out months and months after we record them.
Because we do it in the underground.
Right. Well, we're all...
sneak them out.
Exactly. We're all professional men with jobs and this. But believe it or not,
Racing?
we don't make any money doing this. We just do it because we love it. So we do it when we can do it. But the whole gist of the show, if you're just discovering us, is this is a music appreciation show. We don't really review music. We don't tell you whether or not to listen to something because, why would you care what we think in that regard? Go listen to it and decide for yourself. But the answer, if you're wondering, for any of these albums is a resounding yes. You should listen to this album because at least one of us thinks it is phenomenal. And it's safe to say that all of us think this one's pretty fucking special. Redman's Muddy Waters, his third album, and by and large the album that the general hip-hop historians and hip-hop heads and Redman fans, I think it's by a large consensus, considered his classic. Is it my favorite Redman album? We'll find out. But I loved it. I definitely loved it. Gary, what made you... I always ask that question. What made you pick this album? I mean, talk to me. Talk to me about Redman. Talk to me about Muddy Waters. What's the motivation behind this one?
Yeah, the motivation for me was, we've talked about a Redman album in depth before, and it wasn't even Redman's most highly acclaimed or even his own favorite album. I think it was his least favorite album that we talked about and we got deep on.
Definitely is.
So I wanted to see what one of his favorite albums would be like and one of the highly acclaimed albums would be like. It turns out I actually did not listen to this album in full before we before we decided to talk about it. So this was education for me. And I mean, what I got out of it immediately was "Hoo-ah," right, right, "Hoo-ah." And immediately you get that, and that's what I was looking for in an album at that time, and we got so much of it. I mean, we could get into the layers of that, but that's the outer layer of the onion.
Okay,
and it's some kind of, oh man. I'm not sorry for recommending this album. I'm not.
No.
Because here's the thing. This was the album that stuck with us in the middle of a long break of actually, suggesting new music. And this, it was always lingering in, at first, with a great amount of focus because, I thought we were talking about it in like a week or something. But then it was just in the background of my Spotify homepage. And every now and then,
Same.
And it was good. I think that was a good background to the last. It turned out a couple of months since we last did this. So I'm glad we did. Does anybody have regrets? Anybody have regrets? Any regrets?
Oh hell no. I mean, I think actually, if anything, the very long break between what was our last album, Fugees?
Yeah.
Oh my God! Yeah, it's been a long time. So
it's been. You want to take a guess at how many? I mean, we may cut this out. Just
tell me. Yeah. Go ahead. 4 months.
4 meses.
Oh my God. So we've all grown a lot since. No, but
no shit.
Like Gary, like this album is right. Like this is the quintessential runtime of a '90s album when they discovered, like, oh shit, like CDs hold 72 minutes of music. Like we better take advantage of that format. You know what I mean? Like,
the skits. Actually, that was one of the things I was going to say. Like, classic mid '90s hip hop album. So many skits. But what I mean by that is like they got every last second of runtime onto this fucker. I mean, I didn't look it up, the runtime, but it is a marathon of an album, which was a typical move in the 90s. Like, we got 72 minutes. We're going to make sure this very cheap way of producing music, which is, by the way, do you know how much money the record industry made when they discovered CDs? Like, it became so cheap to, like, just put music on a digital disc compared to tapes that literally they started making so much more money for charging more for a cheaper to produce product. At any rate, sounds about right.
72 minutes.
I would.
This album, by
let's
the way,
use
is
all of it.
67.
Okay.
So they gave him 5 minutes back. How kind of them.
But to be fair,
23 tracks.
It's a lot of fucking tracks. Like for the sake of comparison, let's go 2 of our favorite albums ever, right? Midnight Marauders and 36 Chambers. 36 Chambers is 8 songs, I think. Midnight Marauders is 14 songs. This is 20. What is it? 23, Nate? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Wow.
36 Chambers, 8 songs. Oh, it's not.
Damn.
Look it up.
That shit is not even.
Illmatic is
divisible by
9,
8.
but.
Yo, I swear.
All right.
I could be wrong. I would love to know.
Either way.
It's so short. They had to repeat. They actually have Seventh Chamber on there twice. The remix on Seventh Chamber. It's probably even less if you count that. At any rate, Dion, hit me with it. First takes.
Classic Redman. I mean, there's no other real way to describe it. Not only in like the delivery, like Gary was saying, but also like in the content. There's so many instances of almost expanding on the now very famous or infamous Cribs episode, right? Where it's like Redman like living in some
squalor.
Means, in squalor, exactly. So you got songs referencing that shit, like talking about like I'm not in it for the money. I'm in it basically to like rhyme my head off, right? That's like kind of like the gist of Redman. Yeah. And then like even like the song Whatever Man, like the whole like the title and the content of the music is just like Redman's like just classic laid back like all right, whatever man, like just give me the L, give me the L, give me the mic and call it a day. That's Redman. Like that's it. That's him in a nutshell. This album was classic that with again some classic 90s just flair in there with the somehow there's 23 tracks but somehow 54 skits. I don't know how.
Well, I mean, I think we're gonna have to give I don't want to call it a disclaimer, but like we review hip hop albums, in particular from a certain era, where shit was just said that can't be said anymore, right?
Oh,
like
God, yeah.
views
and probably shouldn't.
Right, probably shouldn't, right? Like the world has grown up, but also art is art, and like to me, offensive art can be just as beautiful as non-offensive art. Sometimes you just, I think one of the common, not misconceptions, but one of the things that kills me about wokeness is like, kind of like the one thing about it is, you gotta also understand like you're gonna be offended at some point, like. Whether it's by art or on the street, you got to learn how to just deal with being offended. As long as it's not hate-filled and not trying to fucking take you down. People might say something that isn't exactly the way you think it should be said. And there's a lot of that. There's a lot of that on this album. Like, a lot of shit that you just can't say anymore. And like Gary said, for good reason, right? These things...
Yeah. I was gonna say, it's like just to play a little devil's advocate on this topic for a second. It's easy to say that as like, you know, people who aren't in the categories of people being offended, right?
Of course.
That being said, it's like to me it's like it's more, it leaves it open to conversation. It's like, all right, you have every right to complain about being offended by like things that are on an album 20 years ago, but at the same time that our artist also has the right to have a conversation with you about, hey, look, this was art, this is a different mindset, like, you know, clearly it seems obvious I don't, you know, have these views, you know, at the time, certainly not now. So like it opens it up to that. I wouldn't dismiss people's sort of offense, just like outright like that. Just even in cases like this, as much as I'm defending the art as well, you know, you gotta take the other stuff into consideration too.
Bro, I'm not even saying they shouldn't be offended. People shouldn't be offended. You know, there's a lot of really sexist stuff on here, like a lot of shit.
Sexy.
Yeah. What's wrong with? You ever see Spinal Tap? What's wrong with being sexy? when they said the album was sexist, he's like, but what's wrong with being sexy? No. That's my terrible British accent. That being said, there's a lot of lyrics on here that we're probably going to quote. So just warning, I'm going to quote some lyrics that, you know, it's like, you know, the views expressed on this are solely of Redman, not the theraplizards. But they're funny too, right? Like that's the thing. The offensive things can be funny. They can. They
are funny, and then also like, oh, you're a dick for thinking it's funny. Like, I think that it would be. I think this is an important conversation that for us to have, because I think we would not be able to have this discussion in this project in this format if we didn't have some sort of overarching like philosophy that we agree on, right, and communicate succinctly as you were just doing, Ben, right? Like the stuff in here is not like, these are not our views, right? And like some of the stuff I'm hesitant to even repeat because I don't want a fucking recording of me on the radio saying, you know, some like ignorant ass stuff, right?
Gary, don't worry, you're not on the radio.
Right, exactly. That's what gives me. But I think it's important for us to agree that we could listen to it, we could appreciate it, we could enjoy it, we could enjoy it in the mindset that it was meant to be enjoyed in, but doesn't necessarily like reflect our outward view at the world, right? Like there's a difference between being aware of a way of talking about things and being able to like sit down and appreciate it and to adopt it as your own. And I think that's what that's the distinction we always have to have. There's always that wall there
Right.
that otherwise we just wouldn't be able to have this discussion at all. It would be just like it would be a shit show.
Right. And I want to give to piggyback on this whole thing, and we're not going to analyze offensiveness for too much longer, but let's look at Friday, the movie Friday, a movie that could not be made today. Let's look at the character Felicia, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
All the scenes with Felicia could not be made today. I think if most of you who are fans of Redman probably also are fans. I don't know. Friday is just ingrained into my mind. But, you know, it's there are scenes with there's someone who is broken down by drug addiction and by and large should be a very sympathetic narrative, but it's a comedy movie where she is the butt of many jokes, right?
Right.
And they
like,
still
like,
make
like some of the skits in this album.
Right.
Right.
Similar. They still make me laugh.
Ezel
right?
too. She ain't even the only
Right.
crackhead.
Ezel, right. So like these things, like I think that we have to, not we don't have to. I will, right? Always. I know when something is like straight up hate speech, and when something is a joke, right? And even if that joke is at the expense of a certain group of humans, it could still be laughed at, even though it is also offensive and probably shouldn't be said. Like, I don't know. There's a lot of that on here, right? And there's a lot of that in hip hop. A lot.
A lot of that in music. Just
well, yes, but because there's a lot of
that
that in music for sure. But hip hop is very focused on, so much other music is kind of like speaking about feelings in a general sense, where hip hop is these are my views, or
it's very explicit, right?
Right, it's
warning,
explicit
right. Content.
So it's country though.
Sure,
but look, we could go down the whole rabbit hole. I hate when hip hop is always like the scapegoat. Not saying that you're doing that. I'm not saying you're doing that. I'm just saying this kind of like, you hear conversations like this often, and it's always like dog whistling for like hip hop being a scapegoat for all this shit. It's like, guys, this shit is in all kinds of music. Like, let's not single out the one.
100%, dude. It exists in rock and roll, in country.
I see your point, though. I just want to make it clear. It's like we're not doing that.
I'm not stating that hip hop is the only form of music, but what I am stating, and this is just the truth, is that hip hop, by and large, is a focused art on viewpoint, on how what do you really think, or not even that, or just these are like a peek into my mind. I'm going to express myself lyrically over a beat, right? So hip hop is you'll get the most of that because there's so much words involved in hip hop and so much about how can you say.
And you as a viewer are paying more attention probably to the content than you. Yeah, I got you.
I think it's not only the format. I think I would go even beyond that. Maybe this is where you and I might disagree, D. And by the way, I am open to being informed and convinced on this. It's just, this is my current thinking about it, is that if hip hop as a genre, it includes the explicit stamp. I remember buying the CDs, right? Buying the, like whatever album, there's a stamp prominently on the cover, right? Warning explicit content. I don't think you get that with country music. I think that you get that in hip hop more because of the focus on the subject matter, which is pretty real. Right, and also there's some shock value in a lot of hip hop. I think in this album too, like you say stuff that like you just wouldn't say if you just. I mean, maybe.
Can I just do one quote?
Go.
Like for the
I do have an answer for you, Gary, though. But
yeah, sure.
So again, right? Something I'm paraphrasing here. I was trying to find the lyrics, but it's one of the first songs in the album where he's like basically telling you to hop on his balls because his dick don't got enough room for the rest of y'all. Grab on his pubics, like all that, right? So like it's very like genital, right? So there's a line that you probably won't. If a country person is saying it, they might sing about very nuanced, like my Mac or like my pickup truck has enough room for the steeds, or I don't know. I'm just trying to like use, fucking country language, from country music.
They wouldn't be as explicit about it.
They might be very metaphorical by saying, grab onto my testicles because my penis is ran out of room because so many other people are hanging onto my penis. Now, again,
dude, but you wouldn't hear that shit in a country song either. It's just not the subject. It's not the content.
But how much country do you listen to? Like, it's.
Well, do you have an example of country music where that is stated, Dion?
Look, I guess I don't. But that's not what the answer to Gary's question. What I was saying, it's like the whole sticker of like the parental advisory came from a huge court case, Uncle Luke in Miami in like the early '90s, where it was like he had oh my God! Now I'm actually drawing a blank on the name. But Ben, you remember this?
Yeah, it was Two Live Crew.
It was Two Live Crew. Exactly. And their whole point was like, look, music's been around for decades, and the thing, content, lyrical content has been subtle, and but it's been talking about some pretty mature subject matter for 100%. A very, very long time. And it's like all of a sudden, hip hop, which is let's be frank, let's open it up. It's like it obviously comes down to a racial thing. Where it's like in all of a sudden in the 90s, where it's like, I don't know, now we have this popular, new music form that's like seeping into rural and suburban America. Now all of a sudden we want to pay attention and like, put restrictions on shit. And it's like, this is art. That was what Uncle Luke was trying to say the entire time. It's like, bro, this is art. This is freedom of speech at the end of the day. So
Dion, he's not the first one to be gone at. Zappa was in court well before Uncle Luke
No, but
really-
Gary talked about the sticker. I'm talking
Yeah, yeah.
specifically
Oh,
about
the
the sticker.
sticker,
Uncle
right.
Luke specifically had that
And
court
for
case
sure,
has to do with
D,
this.
like for sure, I think that's related to this societal phenomenon, right? Like it's happened. Like the sticker happened because of this, but the sticker, I think, the fact that there is some difference between this new type of music that was becoming popular and mainstream in the '90s, that was explicitly shocking in its content, right? Like that is different about this genre of music that we love versus other genres of music that came before it. It is different. Is it different enough to have a freaking label put on it? Probably not. I think there's something messed up behind that.
Yeah.
But it is different in this way. Like listening to this Redman album, I'm getting that from no other genre of music except maybe some other hip hop artists.
I was gonna say, like, there actually is a genre of music that comes to mind that's equally as brutal, if anything. Metal.
Yeah.
Metal, death metal, shit like that. I wonder how many. And this is actually a legit question. I'm not trying to be like snarky here, but I wonder how many like metal albums like that have explicit content actually get the sticker. Like even back then, today. Like I'm curious about that. That's all I'm saying. Like there you go. There's your answer.
Right. I think the reason like hardcore metal with hardcore lyrics doesn't get nearly as much attention.
It's not as popular.
It's not nearly as popular, and I'm this is gonna sound fucked up. Yeah, I don't like people who aren't willing to get their ears like assaulted probably won't listen long enough to be like, oh, he just talked about like raping your corpse. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying that there's a metal song about that.
There's definitely a metal song about that.
That's the most popular.
A metal song about that was just written 3 minutes ago, I guarantee.
It's like the new love song.
But at any rate, I think we spoke about it enough, and I think I hope our listeners understand, and I hope we're all in agreement. None of us are saying there's anything wrong with it. It's just that hip hop, it does have that definite racial spotlight put on it because it was this very popular, by and large, mostly black art that had also, it had that one thing that gave them ammunition, which was very descriptive, straightforward, and outwardly graphic lyricism, right? In ways that most other forms of popular music do not, right? Most other forms of popular music, you won't hear lyrics in the way you'll hear on rap albums from the 90s, and even rap albums now, right? Sure. I think we've been hearing way less from Necro these days,
right? Because
of how much the world has put halts on what you should be saying. Right? Necro lyrics are fucked up. I still laugh at them. They're still funny, but they're fucked up.
Yep.
Right?
Agreed.
Okay.
Both are true.
Let's move on. Let's talk about this beautiful art on Redman's album because I think it's beautiful. I think it's incredible. I think it's absolutely a breathtaking, incredible display of just lyrical beastness, right? I'm gonna start.
Yeah, I definitely thought it was. Oh, go ahead, Benny.
Sorry, I'd like to start with my one. I just want to get it out of the way because I don't want to talk about it. My one complaint.
Get it out. You gotta have the Benny complaint segment of the week.
Yo, my wife. I call her my wife for the listeners, but you all know her. She said I should start a show where I go to a restaurant and I say, you know what they should do? And I tell them my idea on how to do their job better.
Dude, they would love that. Do it. Just do it.
Because that's what I do whenever
especially in Brooklyn. We're gonna try.
Oh my god. Anyway, my one complaint, right? And I think we all have listened to this album a whole lot now, right? Anyone who's listened to it, if you're gonna argue this, then you're just wrong. I'm sorry. There is not a lot of tonal variation in the beats. There are so many beats on this album that kind of sound like the last beat and kind of sound like the beat before it. It's almost as if they picked the same bass source and used it to program it a little differently on a lot. And then there are certain tracks that stand out as incredible beats, The Mary Jane beat, the one that samples Rick James, is
Dope.
incredible. And there's other ones that are like, oh, this is fire. But there are plenty of just subtle 96 boom bap bass, kind of light on the melody. Melody here and there, but it's the bass, the drums, and it's almost like the same type of bass, same type of BPM, beats per minute. It's just like not a lot of tonal variation. Superman Lover is, as Nate just suggested, very different, which is
especially with the flip. Like,
yeah,
I love that. I love that.
And that's let it be noted that will be my one complaint for today, right? And it's right if you're gonna sit down and listen
put
to
money on that.
No. If you're gonna listen to a 67-minute album the whole way through, I would personally like a little more tonal variation, right? There are other albums of the same length where each beat is its own character. This isn't that album. Is anyone gonna give a counterpoint to that?
No,
Okay.
I think
there's a reason why that is. It's kind of like the first two Redman albums. I think he gets into a creative mode where there's something that's inspiring and he could just jam on it and produce, just create music against it. He's like I think he's spitballing a lot of the time. He's just producing work like an artist does. And this was the thing that got him going. Is this kind of sound.
It's perfectly subdued enough to let his vocals and spitting ability be the showcase of the whole album, right? You're not going to listen to this album for the banger beats. The purpose was to let Redman's beast mode be the thing that you're paying attention to most, right? At any rate, love this album. Dion, please talk to me. This is an album that you and I have never talked about face to face, and I feel like we talk usually about music when we talk, and this is not something we've ever talked about. So I want to hear your opinion.
It's funny. Like Gary mentioned about how known this album obviously over the years. Gary's never really given it a full listen until having to do for this week's album. I've listened to it a handful of times maybe over the last few decades, but it's also not an album that like I know like terribly well. I now do because I probably listened to it about 100 times in the last 4 months. But yeah, like obviously like Whatever Man and I think it is one or two other hits or whatever. But otherwise like yeah, I think the reason we haven't really talked about it is because I haven't really given it like a deep like listen before now. But it's sick, man. I one of the first notes I put is probably like within a week or so after Gary made a suggestion. I remember just like putting on a Knicks game, throwing this album on, and I just felt like, wow, this feels perfect. This feels like some 90s. Yeah, exactly. Like 90s when the Knicks were good. The Knicks are good right now. Whenever this album gets released, like who knows? Episode. Yeah. You want to drop an album? We can drop an album. We can drop an album right now.
Let's make one.
Nate on the Iwi. But yeah, like that's there's some individual song thoughts and like little thoughts to share as we go through. But that's basically like my sort of take on the album as a whole. I thought it was dope. There's a really good song without Method Man on it. Obviously, gotta have one.
Well, yeah, this is like right after How High, right? So they made How High, I think, in '95.
The song,
and this was like the next follow up to the the just forming partnership between Redman and Method Man. Great song, great song.
Right, he even talked about the How High Mobile.
Yeah, the hop in the How High Mobile for sure.
That's right.
Nate actually proposes a good question. What really was going on in Redman's life between There's a Dark Side and Muddy Waters? And I don't know exactly, but I could only go just by like I could make an informed guess by like the difference between these two albums, right? So like that's a good point, right? So There Is a Dark Side, which is the first Redman album we spoke about. I think we all loved it, but we also recognized it is like a beautiful mess. It's like this like almost like a psychedelically fueled drug fueled, like disjointed type of album, which is not bad, but very different from the rest of his work. And this is the production is so much more sparse, and I feel like Redman is so much more focused. So I could only assume that his way of life changed between 94 and 96, where I think he probably kind of stopped. I don't know if you noticed, it's 2 years between every one of his albums. In the beginning, it was 92 was What, then 94 was There Is a Dark Side, then 96 this, and I think 98 was the next one. So it's a 2 year gap between all of his albums so far. And I think in those 2 years, he probably kind of hit the reset button and he said, why don't I just go in there and make the best work I can make and not be completely annihilated on drugs? That's what I'd have to assume, right?
Yeah, it sounds that way, because it's inspired by the same content, right? He didn't start writing about completely different subject matter,
It's not as dark.
No. Oh, right.
But
also
that's
it
definitely
was I don't know. I came away from listening through, like, if I do like a whole listen through and then follow pretty soon afterwards and keep listening, I feel like, ugh. It's like,
You feel like you need to take a shower after?
yeah, totally. They're very real. I thought the skits were pretty insane on this.
Can I ask you something?
Yeah.
And this is a hot take. These skits, do you think you would have felt like you needed to take a shower after listening to them if you were listening to them in high school in like 2001?
Oh.
Or do you think that like our modern take on things and like the way the world has woken up to offensiveness makes us feel like we should take a shower after these skits? Because I felt the same way. I felt like, I should probably turn this down while I'm listening to it in the car. I don't want someone to hear about the Chicken Head Convention, because they probably might judge me and not Redman.
Right. I mean, I think that there was, in 2001, there was probably too much overlap between like the reality of growing up in relatively the same area, right, of like Brooklyn and Staten Island in our lives, for us to think it was hilarious or to be completely divorced from the reality of like somebody getting robbed in the street for no freaking reason, right? Which like some of these skits get into, and pretty it's funny, right? It starts off like there's a skit of like some guy singing on a bus, and like some other guy who's like planning to rob the bus just happens to just be annoyed and decides to rob the bus sooner. He's just like, yo, you got to stop singing. I'm gonna start robbing this bus right now. In fact, everybody give me your money. Like that's great, and like also like kind of like relatable growing up in New York City, like I guess.
Yeah.
So it was always hilarious and always like a little bit of parody of a reality that's not made up,
Yeah, for sure. Dion, we were just kind of talking on your first takes, but I know you did more research than any of us on this. I just know it because that's just how it goes in this show. I think we're all in agreement on how beastly he was on this album. My personal favorite era of Redman happened right after this, by the way. My favorite era is Dox the Name all the way through Malpractice. The Method Man and Redman album is probably my favorite album by either of those artists. That's the one. The Blackout, the first album, that is one of my favorite albums ever. So like that era of Redman, he changed a bit at that point. I feel like he took out some syllables from his approach, right? We all like this. If this album proved anything, is that he's a syllable assassin. He could flip shit and say shit in an intricate, impressive, creative, hilarious, incredible way, like just God emceeing on this. But I think that he removed a few of those syllables by 98 to get to a little more of a concise, digestible, easier to follow, still expertly done, but less wild in terms of the approach. And that's my favorite era of Redman to listen to. But Dion, I gotta ask, what lines jumped out at you? What on the lyrical side of things? What made your ears perk up?
I mean, just from even the first real song, Is he for real? I just it's like a little dumb, but I love that line where it goes, all these weak punk MCs killed me, they don't thrill me, come to Jersey and get jacked like Jill G. Yeah. I love that. I love that line. That's
a 90s punchline.
It's right, exactly.
That's like call me Beavis, I get nothing but head.
Yeah, exactly.
Big L.
And great, and I always think like that was it's dope, right? It's a great embodiment of his lyrical style, but like, you know, it's humor, but like with a clean slice of ill. You know what I mean? Like that's Redman. That's Redman right there. You know,
and it sounded good, right? Like the line before it, all these weak punk MCs kill me, they don't thrill me. Come to Jersey, get jacked like Jill G. So funny.
It's like on like
Dude, how about on Rock the Spot, I think it is, when he goes, I'm the Moby Dick of dopeness. Like you know what I mean? Like just that one line, right? Calling yourself the Moby Dick of dopeness. So like you could just say, okay, that sounds dope, but like my ear goes like, okay, Moby Dick, the white whale, this thing that, you know, it's hard to find, but when you do, it's like the great reward, you know? So like he's the Moby Dick of dopeness. He's this like level of dopeness that you can't really reach. You know what I mean? Like I love that one line. And then I found the line that, again, I'm gonna read it because to me this is probably my favorite section of bars in the whole album. It's on the song Rock the Spot, and it's somewhat into the second verse. I'm just going to read it. I'm going to read from the beginning of the second verse. He goes, now, first of all, I go for broke. Check the third quarter note. I make you feel like broke. He goes, can't tell whether male or female. I fucked up your frame well. The monogram can't tell. All aboard my because my don't got enough room for the rest of y'all. Grab on my let my music take flight. Rock indo and outdo. Run in yo and out yo. About 9-inch in the. Can you feel me? Yeah, I usually make them. Yo. Right.
I was gonna write that line down, but I was like, no, I ain't gonna talk about that.
I know.
In the show.
Listen,
you took it there. I love it. No, I love it. It's great.
I fucking hope that quote of me saying that never makes it outside of this.
Yo, but that's what we were talking about. These are explicit lyrics. That is explicit. That's the most explicit thing I've heard on recorded on as a piece of music.
That can't be.
I mean, we've
heard Necro, Gary.
Necro and Cool Keith.
Necro doesn't count.
And Cool Keith. Yeah, my God.
Again, I did not do it justice. I just read the words, right? Mm-hmm. Go listen to that song again. Not only is it explicit, not only is it like shocking, but it's done so well from an MC's standpoint.
It's melodic.
Yo, it is remarkable.
You almost forget like the things you're listening to. Like that's like kind of what we're talking about. Like you almost, it's like, oh wow, he's talking about some wild shit, but he's talking like the way he's saying it is fucking dope. Like that's,
dude, I mean. I usually make them shit. Like, yo, that shit is like, that is some horrible shit to say.
That is, like, but also, it is the misadventure. If I could rename this album and any Redman album, it would be The Misadventures of Redman. It just, he gets into some shit. That's on every album he talks about it, like stories of things happening that are maybe unplanned, right? And
yeah. It's stoner music for sure, right? We got to get that, you know, like, yo, there are some songs. I haven't smoked weed in a really long time. I'm a sober man at this point in my life, but there are some songs where I felt high. Like, I felt high listening to them just from like the pictures he painted. You know what I mean?
Right.
I think such a wonderful use of the Rick James sample.
He's got a line in here in Whatever Man, right? He says, we got to beep this. I see people waving on the map, right? It's so funny. Like, that's ridiculous. Like,
I thought one of you was gonna bring that up, but it's like, yeah, that was like.
I mean, it's fucked up, but also like that's him being super high and looking at the map and seeing people waving on him in different countries. You know, that's hilarious.
That's his way of expressing it.
Yo,
just like
we should probably beep out both of the lines we just.
Of course.
Yeah, we got the beep.
It's gonna be like a long beep on my.
Of course, I see Nate's concern. I see the concern flashing in his face, and he's being really cool about it. But there are things that Redman says that Redman just gets me. I think that's my overall deep thought also on this album. Redman speaks to me. He says stuff that makes me understand, and it's not the way other people would say it. Right? He could rap about anything, brushing his teeth,
right,
or getting good grades in math, and it would be funny and it would be effective and it would just get me because he would say things like that. He says so in Superman Lover Part 3. Right, he just
such a good song.
Right, there's so much good about that song, but then he says he has a line in there. He says, "Let me act like I know and get ghost." That's hilarious. Like I know exactly what he's talking about. You know, he's in the context of this song. He's just like, "Let me get my shit together, find out, you know, be aware of my surroundings, and just get the hell out of here and do what's good for me." Let me act like I know and get ghost. I love that. He gets me.
I love that and like, you know, again, like another example of like just the brilliance of his lyrics is on Pick It Up, which is to me like the grimy anthem of '96. Like that whole thing.
If you see a
like,
bag of weed on the floor, what the fuck you gonna do?
Yo, clearly this was not written in the last year. I ain't picking up shit. But that line, it's like it's simple, but like dope. Where he goes, "You remind me of school. You remind me of school on a Sunday, no class." Like it's like a tiny, it's like a little thing, but it's like, yo, that's fucking brilliant. Like, but I wouldn't have, you know, I don't know. It puts a mind like that to put the two things together and make, you know, laymen like us realize like, oh right, yeah, that's wow, shit. It's sick.
It's punchline rap at its finest, right? So
exactly.
There's a whole genre, right? There's rewind rap, there's woke rap, there's storytelling rap, there's all different types of rap that one could admire, one could pass on. Some people, there are some people who are like, I'm not into punchline rap. Give me something with substance. I say, fuck that shit. Give me punchlines. Like, I mean, give me substance too, please.
Right.
But like, punchline rap, I could listen to a whole album of just jokes and punchlines with no overarching. There's one story song on this album, which is Superman Lover, right? Like the rest of it is just free expression of the mind, almost just like, let me fucking say shit in a very funny, very impactful way. You know, it's so many good punchlines on this.
I think the genre, Benny, is traces this punchline genre. I mean, another popular artist that stems from the same, I think, root is Busta Rhymes, and something that, again, I think we talked about this a little bit last time we discussed the Redman album, but I think Busta Rhymes and Redman, they hatched from the same lair. You know, they were like, if there were 3 Game of Thrones dragon eggs, Busta Rhymes was the black egg, Redman was the green egg, and you know, maybe I was the third one. Who knows?
Shout out to Nutshell with those two featuring Fife, fucking dope song and dope.
I guess it was Fife. It might have been Fife.
Well, I mean, I don't know if I can't really call Fife in that category. He's a punchline rapper for sure,
right? But he's not a dragon.
There's others I'd put in there.
But there is, but you are correct in that there is a shared approach to vocal inflection, ryming, and you know, even I don't know. Did you guys notice there was a line that I couldn't tell if he was taking a shot at Busta or not? But when he said I was the one who started that row shit,
yeah.
Yeah. You know, and I think at this point they're so far removed from any type of like, no, I started whatever. But
they both evolved from there. They both evolved from there. I think they both have.
I'm wondering if that was a shot.
I think
it might have been like a subtle, like friendly, like playful shot, like, you know. Okay. But then again, this was '90s, so it may not have been so playful.
Right.
Listen, there's just remove Redman from the history of hip hop, and nobody sounds like Busta Rhymes. Remove Busta Rhymes from the history of hip hop, and especially like we're talking '96 Redman and '96 Busta here. Remove one or the other, no one sounds like them.
Yep.
But then you put those two. Oh, okay. I kind of see a similar approach to how these bars are getting manufactured and spit.
Also the energy, man. I think that there is a lot of the, like, even I think a lot of the energy, like, think of a hip hop show, right? Live show, right? A lot of the energy comes from the people that are on stage with you, maybe, right? Like in some performances, there's a lot of hype, a lot of energy coming from your crew. And I think in like Rock the Spot, the song on this album, right? There were times where I'm hearing Busta Rhymes in every song, right? Thinking of Busta Rhymes from that era, or am I hearing him in no song on this album? I don't know. but there's a lot of like ha and yo yo yo, right? Kind of B-roll
Actually,
in the background.
that is busting your hearing.
It is.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's a sample from Everything Remains Raw. Like that's which was, if you remember, the B-side for Wu-Ha.
Yeah.
Actually, wasn't the actual B-side? It was a video B-side, which is weird. Some artists.
It came right before it on the album. if I
Right
remember.
before like
Yeah,
the
but it was
video
but it's
game
also the
track.
video. Like if you remember, the video for Wu-Ha like starts the first like 30 seconds of him and Spliff, I think, riding in the car in Vegas, I think. And it's Everything Remains Raw, and then it goes, Busta videos is just a whole nother.
So-
we should do a whole episode on Busta
we
Rhymes
should
videos.
do
Like,
a Busta Rhymes video
oh my
episode.
God.
That would be sick.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yo, so where was I going with this? Okay, let's talk features. All right. So you got Eric Sermon on this. You have Method Man on this. I would,
Keith Murray.
and this Keith Murray. This is going to be a bold statement from a man in a Wu-Tang T-shirt who literally loves Wu-Tang as much as anything else in this world, except for my wife, if she's listening. Love you, Madison. But Wu-Tang is everything to me, right? So, like, I would argue that the best song on this album, the best feature on this album is the one with K Solo. What's that track called? My brother.
it's like that, my big brother.
Yeah,
That
I
is
think
a good
that might be my favorite song on the album because K Solo's bars are hard as fuck, and he's one of those. I wouldn't call him forgotten because we didn't forget him, but he was like a '90s beast who fizzled out, right? Like he was in the Def Squad. He came out in the same camp as Redman. Released, I'm sure, a handful of albums, and I've heard them. They're great. He's awesome, but K Solo is out of the conversation once you get into the 2000s. At least in my world, he's not this like elemental figure the way a lot of these other or some of these dudes from the 90s became.
Yeah, Benny,
But that song
pissed me off. I got to tell you, I have a completely different view of it. Yeah, that was my least favorite
let's
song.
talk
on the
about
album.
What?
Yeah, because this fell into a category of hip hop called that I think of as goon rap. You know, it's just some there's mad goon rap.
you,
on that
Gary.
track. K Solo, I think, championed goon rap, which is like it's like, look, he had clearly a talented musician and had a vision for how things would sound. It just clashed with my vision for what I want to hear. I don't want to hear that.
Bro, he says damager, have fools jumping off, clips grabbing their ass, cheeks yelling Geronimo.
Totally, yeah. He says some good stuff, but he says it, and the way that it comes across is if it's like there's like a gremlin in a tin garbage can yelling at you, and I don't like that. I don't like that style of it's not pleasing to me.
No.
Like I'm jamming to the rest of the album, nodding my head. I'm thinking this is this is for me, and then I get some goon rap, and I'm like skip,
Oh God!
Like I know that
Mr. Solo,
you appreciate,
I'm sorry.
You appreciate goon rap, and I get it. A lot of people do, but like, I can't. I don't know. Personally, I couldn't get down. That's all.
Okay. Okay.
That
You hurt my feelings on that one.
I know, and it came across really mean too. And like the shark doesn't help.
yeah, fuck that shit, man. That's your,
okay.
that's your feeling. Don't
I've
apologize.
hated-
Don't
I've
apologize.
hated-
That's the podcast, baby.
Love it,
Yeah,
man.
I've hated way worse than that, Gary.
I mean, yeah, seriously.
I'm I am the resident hater. So it's okay. But it did
song,
hurt my feelings.
That song, by the way, another great grimy, or not grimy, but raunchy lyric that we may have to beep out. Diss you, dismiss you, yeah, I fixed you. Let your girl suck on that that I through.
Yeah, man.
So good. Right?
When Redman
so good.
when Redman says that shit, it's coming from a place of love always. You feel the warmth.
Yeah, exactly.
You feel the warmth, but you don't feel the warmth from everybody who says that, in your ear.
Did you guys hear 80 bars?
Yo,
Yes.
ridiculous. I listened to it I listened to it one more time right before we recorded too.
It is. Gary, have you heard it? The new Redman song?
Yeah, man. I saw the music video. Redman is looking svelte. The guy is.
Yo, he is.
It's looking old too.
Well, between him and
age at
no,
all.
Oh,
yeah,
Memphis. Whoa, Memphis getting ready to pay fucking Bishop, hopefully.
no, but Redman, he's staying in shape.
No,
That's
yeah,
good.
I'm joking. Yeah, no,
I
he
respect
actually
it.
looks great.
Yo, that song, I think Redman is better than he's ever been.
Yo,
right?
his flow,
Like,
his cadence is just
so
like, it's brand new. It's brand new
So good.
for Redman. Like, I've never heard him rap like that. Like, it's...
Yeah. He is and always will be in the category of like greatest of all time, right? Like there's
GOAT
a certain
status, yeah.
He's a GOAT status rapper, right? Yes, we did spend some time talking about offensiveness on this episode. We did spend some time I spent some time critiquing his greatest album ever, or his most classic album ever rather, but he is GOAT status rapper, right? Is he in my number one spot? No, but he's in the conversation, right? And he's in my mind one of the greatest human beings to ever rock a mic, hands down, right? I listened to him. You know what kept going through my mind on this album? Like, this is why I don't like new shit, or like this is why I don't like the shit that I hear on the radio. I'm not gonna say new shit. There's plenty of great new shit out there, but when I listen to shit on the radio, right? And we've done this before. Every grumpy old hip hop fan has done this before, but I'm gonna say it again. You all have the same fucking flows. What the fuck? Why do you all flow the same? Do something original, right? This is the most original shit that I'm hearing, and I'm going, go back to 96. Even the most similar dude, which we said, Busta Rhymes, they sounded so far apart.
Yep.
That's what the kids want. That's what
Kids,
the kids...
yo, I said I'm a nene day, but then it say, and I'm gonna say I'm a day, and then I'm a yo. Okay, you can rhyme off the beat like that. I get it. Do something new for me.
There's no motivation to, because people are still listening
What
to
is
it.
that-
And
what is
I
that
have a lot
genre
less of a
called?
problem with it than you do, honestly.
Is that called trap? Like the
Well, I think
that kind of flow?
it falls into the trap category. Again, this is gonna sound really fucked up, and again, I'll stand by it because it's just like, well, thanks, Nate. It's just I don't love trap music.
But yo,
Sorry,
listen
it
to
just
how about
doesn't.
this? How about this?
It doesn't ring. It doesn't jive with the way I like to listen to music. It is. The beats are similar and the flows are all similar, and it's just,
To me, it's like a different genre. I enjoy it. I enjoy
But
it.
take
just not for me.
take the latest version of the ELE2 album, right, with the extra songs. Busta Rhymes had a and I'm talking about Busta Rhymes briefly because he comes from the same layer with the Dragon Eggs,
Same
right?
era.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So here's somebody that just released music just like Redman, who had a trap style song, right? I'm thinking about Blowing the Speakers, and it was just like, it was almost like he's saying, yo, you want a song in this style? Fine. Here's my version of the song in this
And
style.
my shit's going to be fire.
And it's going to be...
And it was.
And he did it well.
Yeah,
He
he
did
checked
it
the
really
boxes. It's in that genre, but like he did blow the speakers in my car, and that's how he rolls, you know? And I think that's
Right.
what Redman does when he's... I think it's the same style of like an artist that has staying power and that has, a kind of... a real principle to how they make music, and however that comes out might change over the decades, but they will filter through whatever whatever's coming through them through the Redman or through that lens that's unique to them. Like it's always going to be them, no matter what era they're in. I think they'll keep making music hopefully till they get real old, and we'll get many other weird eras of fucking music filtered through them.
Yeah, I hope so, man. And again, I hope if you're listening and you love trap music, I don't mean to be offensive. I really don't, right? Like, there are plenty of times where I told people that I love the Grateful Dead, and they go, why? This shit sucks.
I said that.
You know what I mean? Like, no, one time I told someone that I love the Dead, and they're like, the Grateful Dead is a mediocre country western band at best. I was like, oh God, fuck you. You know what I mean? But like, all I'm saying is like I like a lot of shit that people don't like, and it's okay. I don't like it's okay.
Yeah,
right.
They'll like it eventually. You just got to keep hammering them for decades, as you did with me.
I finally got Gary to listen to Wilco, and all of a sudden he's like, oh shit, yeah, they're pretty good. Like after 10 years of being like, dude, listen to Wilco.
Did you know about this Wilco?
Okay, we've gotten way off base. I'm sorry, listeners.
Fuck your base.
I'm sorry. Did you say fuck my face?
No, your base.
Fucking base.
bass, man.
Okay. We gotta cut this part out. We're just shaking off the cobwebs here, man.
I think it's all usable. Yeah. Did you guys by the way get a chance to listen to or watch any of the versus battle?
No.
The Method Man versus Redman battle? I mean,
I'm
it's not
about
a battle. Like, they're not battles anymore. Now they're just
I
fucking contests. It was the best one. Like, it was,
Yeah.
it was sick. And I told you, like, the guests they brought out and everything, it was dope. But just as we're on the subject of Redman, just like another, another instant classic. I mean, a 3-hour instant classic.
Yo, I'm about to break my rule and complain again. Yeah,
it shouldn't have been. Good thing you didn't bet fucking money.
Exactly.
This is my 6th complaint if you're keeping count.
Nice.
I don't like the BARZ battles, man.
You haven't seen this one.
Dude, I was watching the Ghost and Raekwon one. And
Yeah, you haven't seen this one. This one was so much different.
But let me just get my hate out. So like, I love Ghostface and I love Raekwon. They're like my favorite artists. I'm such a Wu-Tang fan. Yo, they were rapping over themselves rapping. Come on.
Yo, but it was if you shouldn't treat it like a versus battle. Like if you think of a versus battle, you should treat it like a barbecue or like a picnic. Like these peeps are getting together. These are peeps you like. Let's go eat some sandwiches. Listen to some music.
Yeah, exactly. I think Ben, you go into these things like with a little bit too much. Like you're expecting like.
Well, I don't get why everyone's going. Oh my God, did you see it? I went and watched it. I was like, okay.
I hear that, Benny. I hear that.
The other one, like, so the Ray and Ghost one's like, all right, yeah, they're sitting down in between songs, they're rapping over the Meth and Red put on a 3-hour concert. Yeah, I've not seen a versus battle like the one that they've done before. Like, this really was like by and large the best one because all they did was they came out together, went back and forth on different songs, like a verse or two for each, and every like 3 or 4 songs they brought out a guest. They ended up bringing out all of Wu-Tang. They brought out like I think Eric Sermon came out at one point. Like mad guests. That's all I'm saying. And we can,
right?
Okay.
It's something I think you guys would enjoy.
I will see it. Thank you, Dion, for sure.
Yeah. I get it. I know I'm an asshole. I don't know what's
because I do agree with you. The other ones have been weird, especially the early ones. But like, they stepped their game up for this one. That's all I'm saying. This one was fucking sick. I was watching it live while like doing dishes and like dancing around and shit. Like it was sick. It was really good. Anyway.
I wonder if they have 12-step support groups for haters like me. HA.
Yeah. But the it's linked. It's only linked to the Bible of Gary, unfortunately.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
Don't even bring that up.
13 steps.
Palpitate Alpha. He drew his sword.
Yep.
Okay. I think we've exhausted this format for talking. If this is your first listen, we usually talk a little more in depth about the music. I don't know what happened today. What happened, guys?
I think let's talk about a dope song. Okay, there's a song on here that I fucking love called Yes Yes Y'all.
Yeah.
All right, and I thought it was the most crime ass beat and the most badass set of verses I've ever heard. I thought, holy shit, this thing gets me. Like, it got inside so fast, right? And I really felt I felt like I was very much in the Redman cartoon world of misadventure. I wish we had somebody on this as part of this project who could beatbox better than I can.
So you could spit it?
No, I want to hear that beat in a way that doesn't get us sued. It's such a good beat.
Yeah, man.
Right? It's like, holy shit, this is for real.
Yeah.
I love that, and that's what that was a
dope beat.
Key, like that's essentially what I love about this album. You just feel like listening to it. You hear a lot of like crazy skits. Like, all right, I'm with it. I'm nervous. This violates in some ways, but I'm with it. I'm gonna keep going because I know there's some gems sprinkled all throughout, very deliberately. Right? It's not meant to be an easy listen, this album, but it's meant to be a really engaging and fun listen, and that's what I get from it anytime I put it on. With anybody else in the car, this shit is going to just low volume beats in the background.
Man,
but if I'm by myself,
people in the car, bro.
Who would I put in the car besides you guys that would listen to this and just nod their head and be like, yeah,
I don't have anyone in my life.
Chicken Head Convention, totally. This is great. Anyway,
By the way, did you notice that song Yes Yes Y'all? He gives a shout out to a very young 50 Cent.
No.
Is that the actual 50?
I looked at it. Yeah, I looked into it. I think 50 used to like do some security stuff on the side while and he was like 21 at this time. He didn't blow up for like another 5 years. But it seemed here's the thing I will say. A few of the sources are like some assholes on Genius, so they come from the internet. So you never know; it may just be rumor. But like, I wouldn't be surprised. They're both New York dudes. They're both like it would have made sense. It's not like 50 was like 15 at the time. He was still 21 years old in 96. So could be. It could be.
Forever 21.
I had that thought. I was like, is he shouting out like the 50 Cent?
I tried to look on Reddit groups and shit, and like all like basically it's like the consensus is yes, it is. But again, like the only sources I could find are people on Genius and Reddit. So
is there any Don shout out on this album? Did I hear?
No.
Gary, I know what you're talking about, but when I looked at the lyrics, I realized that he wasn't saying Edon. I didn't write down what he was saying, but I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah. And I was fooled until I actually read the lyrics and I realized, oh no, it's not Edon. He was saying something else that sounded like Edon.
Word.
I wish I wrote it down. Sorry.
Like it was.
I'm pretty sure Edon was like
12 or something,
in his
right?
Early teens.
Yeah, but like so were you, and you were basically doing some Redman shit. You were up to some Redman.
Yeah, but Redman didn't shout me out, bro.
But like I thought, look, that's ridiculous. Of course not. But then same genre of music. Artists that we've talked about on this program, right? So within a smaller circle, also New York people, right? Smaller circle still, right? Still alive, fucking smaller circle still. It became not so ridiculous.
Yeah.
No, like rappers like at any level, like a lot of them are friends. Like I always say, like my cousin who's famous rapper in Canada, but like no one knows him here. He's still good friends with a lot of big rappers. It's just because like the rap, especially in the '90s, like the rapping community in general, it's like it didn't matter. Like I mean, to a degree, it did matter like how big you were and how not big. But like it wouldn't have been that surprising if like an underground rapper was good friends with like a megastar. Like it's kind of the same circle. So it's like I would say I wouldn't have been shocked exactly unless Edon would have been like. I think there are only 3
degrees of separation at most between the two of them, because I think including us, because I think we've all at least 2 or 3 of us have met Edon, right? Dion, you and Method Man, I think, have some kind of.
Yeah, worked together a couple times.
Exactly.
So we worked together once and ran into each other. No.
Exactly, right? So immediately, not many degrees of separation just through this circle.
Also, about 2 or 3 of my tattoos were done at a tattoo shop right next door to Redman's t-shirt shop in Staten Island.
That's right. I've been there.
Yeah, that's right.
I
shout out to Milk and Honey. Shout out to Milk and Honey Tattoo, Maggie Serpica. Thank you for your good work on my tats.
Shout out. Wow, my brain is farting today. I'm sorry. I think that.
That shark just fart?
Yeah.
Shark fart?
Shark.
Oh wow. Sharks don't care, man. I think they just go all the time.
Honest question: do sharks fart?
I'm sure they do, man. Like I'm sure.
Somebody Google it.
I'm sure they do. Do sharks fart?
Oh my God! What the hell is going on? I just want to say I want to wrap. I'm gonna give my last. Oh no, I have to give my last licks because it's my pick.
Yep.
Let's go last licks, guys. I think I don't think we could milk this any further.
I found videos of sharks farting.
Yeah, I found the same thing too. I think we have to read this. We could cut this out, but I think we have to.
Please read it. Please
Tiger
read it.
shark farting in Fiji is one video I found. 21 seconds.
I didn't even look up video. I just looked up like, all right, they let out air in the form of a fart when they want to lose buoyancy.
What? No.
As for other shark species, I don't know what shark they were talking about. Well, we really just don't know. Okay, so they don't know, but apparently some forms of sharks, some forms.
There's just not enough research.
Like a fucking submarine, they let out air to reduce buoyancy, but it's through their butt. That's amazing.
It's pretty amazing.
That's amazing. Congratulations.
All right, let's do last licks, guys. I think we're gonna edit this one down a lot.
I don't know, man. I think it's some great radio.
I agree. I want this broadcasting from my tombstone. Like no shit. Like when people walk by with headphones, like Nate, right? I want them to hear this episode.
Word. Last licks. Dion, you first.
That. Again, dope album. I'm glad we did do a follow up after There's the Dark Side, because I feel like the Redman like taste in all of our brains just like, oh my god, dark and grimy, which in this case like still grimy but less dark. So I'm glad it's kind of a palate cleanser. Again, There's the Dark Side is a great album. I love it. I may even like it more than Muddy Waters, to be honest. But the point is, I put them both in high regard at this point. Like it's Redman. It's just another example of why he's the GOAT status. Like, he has solid placement in my top 10. He's one of those that could rotate in and out of my top 5. But like, this album is fucking dope. I mean, just bars for days. I love the beats. I know, like it got to a bit of a monotonous point, but like it was still like that 90s boom bap, and like especially in a time where we were just talking where that really doesn't exist that much anymore. I'll take an album full of like similar sounding 90s boom bap beats, in this day and age. So, yeah, man, great album, loved it, and I had a good 4 months to stew on it. So.
Yeah, and that's having the 90s sounding boom bap beats, good ones, playing in the background for 4 months or so, right on somewhat on somewhat of a rotation. Very good for mentality in the last couple of months. I guess like Dion, I'll go. I have a last thought here. There's a lyric in here. Some I think early in the album. Just do what you feel and never follow. And he just repeats that when he's opening up a song. And I think that's in essence that's Redman. I think not a lot of people would think to approach music the way that he does, wouldn't think to sensationalize a character the way that he does with the Redman, character in Brick City. That's a character that's stuck with me. And also, I love the way that Redman carries himself through the world, thinking about just putting out this version of a character. And I think of him as, well, let me back up. And this is weird, and probably will cut it, but you guys know this. There are just weird, random people in the world that I might notice and think that's a G.O.A.T. I think that's like this guy is kind of one of mine.
Can you wait, Gary? Can you just give a tiny peek behind the curtain? Yeah. What is a G.O.A.T, please? I think this is.
You
really
guys know
important.
it when you see it. It's
but just the history behind the name G.O.A.T. Just real quick.
Yeah, sure. Oh, it's a Russian name. It's my birth name, and it doesn't translate well to English. And the thing is that it's not a common name, but when you see somebody out there in the world, it might be by their walk, might be by the way they're talking, might be by the way that they carry themselves, and you'll think this is one of them, right? There are more out there, and I'm honored to say that I think Redman he's from my tribe of G.O.A.Ts, and I have very few people in the world that I could look up to in this way. You know what I mean? Like, here's somebody who really is their real fucking self and creates music exactly the way that they want to without being embarrassed, and is thriving in that weirdness. That's Redman. So I look up to him, and I was glad to see more of his work. I got a lot out of this couple of months of listening to this. So yeah.
So
wow, dude, you heard it here first. Redman, you're a G.O.A.T.
And yes, that's a good thing.
That's a good thing. That's a really good thing. Wow. My final take is that this is I don't want to call it a dying breed, but Redman is cut from a cloth that, quite frankly, I'm afraid is going to disappear at some point. Or maybe I'll be proven wrong, and people like Kendrick and J. Cole will be at the forefront and spawn way more people like them. But I have a feeling this like rap god is a dying breed, and Redman is just like such a ferociously incredible, remarkable MC. And if you just want to put on an album that's a lyrical display of punchlines, flows, cadences, also, if you want to look at one of early Eminem's biggest influences, I'm talking about 97 and 99 Eminem, if you don't see similarities to Redman's approach and Redman's flows on this album in early Eminem, then you are a lost motherfucker. It's there. incredible album, incredible lyrics. My favorite era started right after this with Redman because I think it all got a little more fun. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It was just a little more of a joyous, fun-packed ride in the later releases. But
that Christina Aguilera joint.
well, yeah, I love that shit.
Yeah, no, it's
But
great.
It's
It's
just
dope,
like
but
it's just like,
fun, yeah.
and his beats got a lot more fun, and everything was more of an experience after this. But I just think that this is just such an incredible, remarkable '96 as fuck album. Love it, absolutely love it, and I get why it's his classic. I get it, right? It's just such a hardcore hip hop album at its core. All right. So that being said, I had 4 months to deliberate and think about this, what my pick is going to be. And Dion can attest, I still was undecided like last week, and I was undecided until this morning when I put my t-shirt on. That being said, the last 2 albums were 96 albums from New Jersey. We're going to go 1 year into the future to Staten Island and talk about Wu-Tang Forever.
Yeah. That's a double album, kids. That's a double album.
What is
an album that
double album?
is? It means
Two
it was
CDs.
two CDs when it came out, and the first CD was enhanced. If you put it on your computer, you could see shitty video.
CD-ROM.
But go listen to Wu-Tang Forever. My personal, and this is gonna sound like sacrilege, my personal favorite Wu-Tang Clan album with the whole clan on it. I think it's the best they ever were.
It's got my favorite hip hop song of all time. But we will reveal
We'll get
what
into
that one
it.
is in the next episode, even though it's pretty obvious.
Hopefully our listening won't be 4 months of listening, and I think that's why this Redman episode felt a little off to me. I just feel like that 4 months I got a little I don't know.
We all got
a little
weird.
rusty
We
with
all
this.
got
Yeah,
pretty,
it got
it
really
made us
weird.
I think the weirdness seeped in.
I don't know
It's
why
like
you
something in the
motherfuckers are
drinking
self-conscious.
water.
This is a great episode.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Agreed.
Go listen to Wu-Tang Forever. If you think that 36 Chambers is the only thing by Wu-Tang, if that's the only one, let me rephrase. If 36 Chambers is the only Wu-Tang album you know well, go listen to Wu-Tang Forever. It is the fucking shit.
Both discs.
Okay?
Yeah.
Both discs.
Both discs. It's just one playlist on Spotify, so don't worry. Probably shorter than Muddy Waters.
Yeah. There's more to Wu-Tang than what we all, what you might have heard at the, became familiar with last summer being at protests. There's more to it. Get in there.
Word. All right. Thanks for tuning in with us, guys. Go check out theraplizards.com. If you want to see the best top 10 list of MCs that anyone has ever curated, you could find mine there. I'm not going to spoil it, but they're on there. Raplizards.com, where you could get all of the rest of our episodes on any streaming platform. We want to thank our man, the Red Walrus, Fred. Thank you so much. Those dope beats, interludes, intros, outros, all that shit. The Red Walrus, you could find him on Bandcamp. Download his music. Support a fucking good artist for once in your life, you asshole. All right, guys. Have a good one. I'm out. Peace.
Peace.
Peace.